Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Joni Young and today I'm going to be showing you how to paint this pretty country lane in springtime with some cherry blossoms on the trees. So here we're going to go over the colors right away and I'll list them below in the description as I always do. We've got neon pink, a little bit of turquoise, titanium white, light ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, lemon yellow, sap green, maybe some burnt umber, cadmium red, and some black. So we're working on another black primed canvas, just an older canvas, and I used some craft black paint to cover it up. I waited for it to completely dry before we begin this, and it's 11 by 14 and we're going to get started right away. So we're going to begin with a background and I'm going to use my blending brush, just a large blending brush, a little bit wet, and I'm going to take my light ultramarine blue. I'm going to begin right in the middle. I'm going to take a little bit of phthalo and a little bit of white now. I want to do this very loosely, blending softly, not thinking too much about where the colors fall. I just know that I want a mixture of all three colors, and then I'm going to come in with some clouds. Just going to bring a little bit more phthalo and white right down here. I think maybe we'll just have a little pond in the background. That's going to dry a little bit darker, so I know I'm going to take a bit of white on the tip of my brush, just on the corner, very lightly, and then a soft little sweep down. Probably will be mostly covered up by flowers and trees anyways. We won't worry too much about that. Let's go ahead and take some more white, maybe even a little bit of turquoise, because I like to incorporate lots of colors. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush. I'm going to use my number 11 Filbert. Take my white and I'm just going to start wisping in little bits of white here and there. Really just blocking in colors, adding them into sections, and then I'm going to do a really soft blend with my large blending brush. I may as well add my little country lane right here. I'm going to go right off into the corner. Now before the sky dries, and you know it is drying quickly because acrylic paint dries fast, I'm just going to leave that for now. I've got my big house blending brush. And I'm going to sweep up, give it that swept up, beautiful, soft look. If it dries a little bit darker, which it may, then we can come back with some more white after. I'm going to begin taking my green. I haven't even washed the blue off of my brush. I still have that sky color in there. I'm going to take my sap green, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of yellow like this. Then I'm going to come in just from the edge here and down, curve down on a slant like this. That's how we create that slant and that hill. You can tap lightly right in here. Take a little bit of white, just a bit like that, and from here down. Add a highlight. Let's start lighting this up here, and as well on this side. You can just use your large blending brush for this, just to give that a stipple effect. And I'm going to sweep up again, give this more of a blended look, set that pond that might be there in the distance, take a little bit more of my white, green and yellow, and add that hill in there again, and then a little bit right in here. And we can tap, have it gradually meeting up to this little lane, maybe partially growing over it. And then we'll come in around this side. Maybe pick up a little bit of phthalo, a little bit more of that sap green, and have a darker color in here. We'll tap in with a bit of yellow. Tap in from this side, create some foliage. Okay, so we've got a nice composition here to work with now. I think we can switch over to another brush. Go back to my Filbert brush so I can get in this area a little bit easier. Take some white and mix the yellow and the green. Push it on the tip of my brush. And I'm going to come in right here. Take some more of, well, just take a little bit of black right in here, mix it with my green and yellow, and just have this area more in shadow. A little bit like that. And then I'm going to have a little bit of shadow over here that falls right down where there's going to be a little fence. You know what, let's take a little bit of blue, green, yellow, and black. Tap that in again. Create a bit more depth and rich color in there. And then starts from the little lane here and it sweeps right down. That's where our fence is going to be. Now let's head into our large round brush, stipple brush here, and let's take some green with a bit of that sap, a little bit of that phthalo that we mixed up over here. Tap so we get a nice amount on the tip of our brush to work with. And let's start tapping. So this will be our base color, and then we're going to come in with a soft highlight with some white. You can even tap a little bit in here, make it look like grass. Reload my brush. And it can come up a little bit higher right in there. We know this is going to dry darker, and especially over top of that blue, it'll be a darker green. Okay, we're going to tap into the white and yellow. Let's begin adding some highlights. So we're going to soften this up. I like to call this my magic brush. With the least amount of effort, it just creates the perfect little bush shapes. I'm sure glad that I got this brush when I did, but I wish I would have gotten a few because I have not been able to find. Just going to brighten this up a little bit behind that fence. Haven't been able to find any more. So I don't know if they discontinued this brush or what, but it's such a beautiful brush. I'll take a little bit more white because I know it's going to dry darker. I always say that, and it's true. If you guys have noticed that with acrylic paint, leave a comment below if you guys find the same thing. And I'm using perfectly fine canvas, and it's really primed. I've got a lot of layers under this actually, so that's definitely not the problem. And maybe there's just a little bit of a grassy area right here that kind of comes out flat. Okay, I'm gonna wash this brush off. I'm going to go back to my Filbert brush, make sure it's nice and clean. And I'm just gonna scumble in here and make this sort of kind of disappear and blend into that pond. And this as well. Add a little bit of blue, a little bit of white. Sort of lighten this up. We'll add a slight reflection. You need a little bit of water in your brush to do that. Kind of make that look blurry. And now we need to make sort of a peachy color. So how about, let's get creative. Take some yellow, white, pink, maybe a little bit of our brown. There's a good color. So I'm going to come in, turn my brush this way, and then make it wider. It's skinnier there because it's further away. I'm going to pick up more. This time I'm going to take a little bit more pink with it, and white. Pull right in here. Gives that feeling that it's just wrapping around. Gives you that movement, that feel that the lane's coming in from here. I like the way paths and roads look that are winding. Same with rivers. I like things that flow. And then you can just kind of tap in here to make it look like there's some sand and little rocks and gravel and stuff. Make that kind of just disappear way back there. Without washing my brush, I'm going to take my green, a little bit of black, there we go. Skinny line like that. So just something like that, guys. Maybe there's another little railing or little fence line right there. So I'm just going to take a little round brush. It's kind of a liner round brush, number 1, very nice and pointy on the end. And I'm going to take that same country lane color we just made. Yellow, white, brown, pink. And we'll add a few little lines closer together when they're further away, and then you can start leaving some spaces. And we can have them on a bit of a slant like that to add some character. Take some black, some brown, and let's add a little shadow. Now if you're a little bit shaky, that is okay. This is an old fence, so if your hands are a little shaky, mine are right now. It's just going to be an even better fence with more character. And we'll just add a little bit of height to that one. Let's go back to our fan brush. Take some blue, some yellow, a little bit more yellow there. And let's begin tapping in a little bit of foliage that comes over top of some of those little fence posts and along the edge. A little highlight. Let's add some white to that color that we just made. Tap the two together. Tap and then kind of drag and pull. I'm going to use this little brush here and get these same colors, green, blue, and yellow and white, and add highlight up here where it's going off and just bring some light in there. Maybe there's a little pocket of light right in there too. Kind of just pull and drag down this bank. A little bit of water on your brush. And you can change the tone of this really easily too if you're wanting it to be a little bit more green and less yellow. Maybe you want a cooler green, so you can take some more of your phthalo blue and mix that together. I'm just blending that in there slightly. And I'm going to add some tree trunks now. Same brush, a little bit of brown. Let's add a bit of red too to our black and make that nice dark rich color. Ooh, we've got a little tree back in here. So notice how I'm skipping spaces. That means that some parts of the tree and the branches, all the leaves, are kind of in front and you can't see all of the tree trunks. So it's quite easy to do that. And then you can make some of them a little bit darker. So just go back for a little bit more black. And we can pull one up here. Maybe there's one that comes right up there. And we'll add some foliage over top of that too. Just let that dry for a little bit. Go back, add a little bit of water this time to your brush. Twist it and roll it. Get a nice point on the end. And let's start adding a few little trees in here. Maybe there's one little guy right here along in with that fence. So maybe the fence goes, there's the first one. And then we'll do the second one. You know what, let's do a third one. I wasn't sure if I would have enough room, but I do. So we can add that third one in there. And then we're going to do the boards right here. So let's do one that comes up here, another one there, and there. It kind of just gets lost and blurry in here. But we have this tree. Got this tree right in here to kind of help camouflage that. Now the shadow is coming over this side, so we're just going to add a little bit of a shadow right over here. A little bit more water on your brush and those same dark colors. You can add a few little branches. You don't have to be too careful. There's going to be a lot of foliage and little flowers. springtime, out in the country. Everything's in bloom. All those springtime trees. Fruit trees are blossoming with their flowers. And let's add another one. Maybe this one comes right here. It'll be another little shadow. So you'll add your trunk right here. And then you'll have a shadow there. And I'll do that a little bit more carefully. Take a little bit of phthalo blue for that, just the tiniest bit. We'll come down. We'll just add a bit of shadow like that. And back to our tree. Little tree trunk here. We'll just do a few little lines. I'm going back for water and mixing quite often. We'll have another little baby tree right here. And then we're going to have one that's coming from over here that we can't see. And I'm twisting, pulling lightly, and coming over the top with our main big tree branch that's going to have lots of pretty blossoms on it. Okay, I think that we're ready to start adding our foliage on these trees. I think I'm going to begin with this one down here, and I need to take a little bit of yellow, a little bit of my black, and a little bit of blue. Oh, it's a bit too much blue. I want it to be more muted than that. So I could change it up by adding a little bit of pink, a little bit more yellow. Gonna have a really dark army green, almost sap green color. I'm just gonna start tapping in. Just with a mini fan brush. And then we can add a few little taps right in here. And then around those little tree trunks and branches that we have there. Bring a little bit of black, just wiggle on my fan brush like this. And a little bit more of a nice contrast in there before we add our highlights. I'm going to go to my smallest 1-inch mop brush, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of white, like that, a little bit of pink, a really soft tinted white color, and it's kind of squished. I want it to be kind of squished like this. In fact, sometimes I just pinch it in between my fingers like that. And just start tapping in some pretty little blossoms. Just a little something like that. And then we can have some that come right over here. a little bit more of the pink. Put a little hint of that in there. I actually want to take a little bit of my white, green, and yellow. Tiny bit of phthalo in there to make that a little bit more green. Twist, roll my brush. And I'm going to add some more leaves to this tree that are a little bit brighter. And that down there as well. I'll scumble over the edge a bit. Scumbled in a little bit. Of the shadow. Make that peach color up again. A little bit more white. Don't want it to be too pink, otherwise it's going to compete too much with the trees. Come around. Add a little bit more of that in here. Just brighten up this path a little bit. And then right back there, let's add those little lines in there again. They kind of got lost. Toward light yellow and white. I'm going to highlight on this side again, just to brighten that space up in the background. And we'll come up over behind. I want to take, without washing my brush off, some brown, some red, and just mix it up right about here. Let's take a little bit more of that red. I'm going to turn my brush like this so it's flat, and I'm going to drag down for an instant tree trunk. The bark, so it looks more like bark. And then maybe a little bit right there too. A little bit of black. More red and black. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my little mop brush here, and I'm going to take tip of it, sort of pinch, and start adding our cherry blossom tree. Don't think of what you're doing as flowers. Just think, I'm adding some pink here, and I'm going to add some pink here. Otherwise, you're going to get too caught up in if your flowers look real, and you don't want to get distracted and carried away with that, or you're going to start to really hate your painting. And then we're going to have some thicker ones. So we've got a bunch on my brush like this. I'm just going to tap and wiggle. I kind of come out here in the foreground. Alright, then I'm going to take a lot of white, and I'm just going to kind of twist, turn, tap a little bit. And we're going to add some green in and around here as well. Take a little bit of black, a little bit of water, yellow, make that army green color up again. We can start tapping in a little bit here. And it's okay if you get it on top of some of your pink. That looks nice and natural too. I just picked up a little bit of the paint from the tree trunk, and that looks really cool actually. Picked up a little bit of red in there, that red and black. I'm going to pull into the white, and if it's got a bit of pink in it, that's okay. And we'll just start tapping in a little bit like this. Pretty little tree over here. Pick up some more white. I'm going to tap the end of my brush. Really lightly like that. And we'll start just tapping. Kind of turning my brush every time I pick it up. I turn it into a different direction. That way I get leaves in different placement so it looks more natural. And then a little scumble over here. Okay, I'm going to take my white, a little bit of blue, a little bit of my pink, a little bit more white. I come in here and just add little pockets of mauve. It's kind of a mauve color. We've got some light clouds back there. So you can still see the blue underneath. It's going to look a little softer right in there. Let's take some of our pink. Add some more of this really pretty color right here in the foreground. Then I'm going to take pink and white. Kind of swirl them around on the brush, but not blend them too much. And we can make a couple little swirls. You're going to need to reload your brush quite a bit. Dots and dabs. Well, just really impressionistic, guys. I'm going to take a little bit of my red and black, really watered down. Maybe we'll take some of that green that we made earlier too. A little bit of that yellow in there. And I think some of these coming down with some maybe moss hanging. Just using the same round brush, you dab a little bit on the branch, pull and flick down. Let's have some coming down right there. It's going to be a little bit, need to be a little bit darker in order to show up, but very watery. And you still got that yellow in there, so it's more of a green tone. Very drippy. You could add a little bit of extra yellow if you want. So it's just a little bit of black mixed with that yellow. I'm going to take my light pink and that greenish yellow black color. I'm just going to add maybe a few little branches right here, some leaves, a little bit. Make that kind of come out a little bit more. And pull up there a little bit more. Take my yellow. Just add a little bit more of that green in here. I'm going to make more of a blue-green, so the yellow-white with the tiniest bit of phthalo, create a cool green, and incorporate a little bit in here. I mean, it's just a little bit, but it looks quite nice, mixed with all the other greens. And especially over here, if we have a little bit of a shadow. Kind of a minty green, very pretty in the springtime. A little bit of more of that bluey green in here, and we're almost done. The only thing I need to do is soften this shadow, so I want to take my phthalo blue, pink and white, or you can use the light ultramarine blue. I ran out, so I'm just adding that right over. Soften that shadow area up right in there. There's some clouds. We can just make this look farther away by scumbling dry brush over this area. Put it back there in the distance. You can make a light green, light greenish yellow if you want. Okay, so I'm going to call this one done. I want to thank you guys again so much for joining me. I hope you learned a lot and got inspired today. Please like this video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it, you guys. So I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.